What's up, wrestling fans? My name is Mikey, and this is Wrestling Knows Best, where we talk about all things professional wrestling and link it to self-development, like today's topic of the importance of Joe Hendry's WWE appearances and the impact that it'll have on the future of professional wrestling. If you haven't done so already, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I've got a goal of reaching 100 subscribers by the end of August 2025, so I would love and appreciate your support with that. And before we jump into it officially, I want to call it out there that I do recognize that other TNA wrestlers have made appearances on WWE TV, but Joe Hendry made an appearance on the show of shows, WrestleMania. So, why is something like Joe Hendry showing up on WWE TV important? Well, it really puts TNA on the map in terms of wrestling. For the longest time, WWE only acknowledged and recognized themselves as a wrestling promotion. Meanwhile, we all know that there's hundreds, maybe thousands of wrestling promotions that exist out there, great wrestling promotions, but WWE, they like to think that they're the one and only. And while I am a WWE fan, I also like other wrestling promotions like AEW, like GCW, New Japan. There is more to wrestling than just WWE. So TNA, a TNA wrestler showing up on a WWE show is huge, and I know that they've got the partnership. They've announced it. It's official, but you've seen a lot of crossover between NXT superstars and TNA superstars. You've seen rare appearances of TNA superstars showing up on the WWE shows like Raw, SmackDown, and even the premium live events. But at WrestleMania, we got to see Joe Hendry, the TNA champion, wrestle a legend in Randy Orton. And again, it was a huge deal because it was a big surprise. A lot of people were guessing who Randy Orton's surprise opponent would be, and for it to be the TNA World Champion, a huge deal because not only does it put TNA on the map, it puts Joe Hendry on the map as well for him to have a WrestleMania moment, a WrestleMania match with Randy Orton. And some people didn't really like it because it was a short match. I think it was only about 5 minutes long. But at the end of the day, it wasn't a squash match. I think there was some back and forth in terms of the offense. Joe Hendry lost, and he lost in a short amount of time. And he's a TNA World Champion. It almost makes you beg the question of, what's the quality of TNA? But when you really think about it, you've got this legend killer turned into a legend, Randy Orton. He's one of the best of all time. He's got 14 world championships in total under his belt. He's right up there with, people like John Cena and other great champions. So for Joe Hendry to lose to him, I don't think was a bad thing. Plus, he got hit with an RKO. And like he says, it only takes one. That's all it takes is one RKO. And you see it in MMA fights all the time where, somebody gets caught with a kick or, a punch and they get knocked out. And the match ends, a match that you think would go all 3 or 5 rounds ends up, ending in a couple of seconds. So, Joe Hendry losing to Randy Orton was not a bad thing at all. What I do wish happened was that Randy Orton would have put him over more at the end of the match. And I get it, Randy Orton did his thing, gave him an RKO at the end, had fun with it, did his pose. But I think it would have been a cooler moment if, they both played it off as faces. Maybe they both do the pose together. Or like a handshake at the end of the match and then they pose or something like that. So I don't fully agree with the RKO at the end. I think that maybe was a little bit I don't want to say disrespectful because it coming from Randy Orton and knowing the type of character that he is, like he was just embodying his character. But I do think they could have done a little bit better to put Joe Hendry over, because at the end of the day, that's one of the reasons why Joe Hendry was there in the first place, was to put himself over, or to get himself over, and to put TNA TNA over, and I think that Randy Orton could have did a better job, or at least helped that right then and there. So how does this all impact wrestling? Pun kind of intended, not really purposefully, but how does this all impact the future of wrestling? I mean, it shows that a TNA wrestler can show up on any show at any time, even Raws, SmackDowns, or even premium live events, and even the show of shows. A TNA wrestler can show up, and I think that's absolutely amazing. Like I said, for the longest time, WWE never really recognized other shows and other wrestlers, and now it gives credibility to other wrestlers, other shows, and I think that's just a great thing in general, because wrestling is more than just WWE, despite what WWE probably wants you to believe. And wrestling is actually more than even just WWE, NXT, and TNA. There's a lot of other great wrestling promotions out there. And I know that WWE will only work with other promotions when it benefits them. And hey, I get it. It's a business. But I would love to see, more and more collaboration. Just as a wrestling fan, I think that everybody can have a seat at the table. Everybody could have a piece of the pie. And I think it's just great for wrestling as a whole if all the promotions can get along together and do more collaborations. So I think it's great for TNA. I think it's great for WWE, and it's really great for Joe Hendry. It shows his growth as well. He's been grinding for a very long time. It's great to see him as a TNA champion, and it's great to see him on not only TNA programming, not only NXT programming, but also main roster WWE programming as well. He's doing a great job. I know that his goal for a long time was to get himself over. Now as a champion, he realizes that his job is to get as many eyes on TNA as possible, and I think he definitely did that by doing that appearance on WWE WrestleMania. So he's definitely doing what he set out to do, and it shows his growth. And honestly, I think it shows that he's ready for a main roster debut. He can show up on Raw or SmackDown, and I think he'd fit right in, and he'd have an audience behind him right from the jump. So, kudos to Joe Hendry, shout out to TNA, and shout out to WWE for that collaboration. And thanks for your time. Shout out to you for watching this video. If you made it this far, leave a like. Would appreciate your support. Subscribe and hit that notification bell, and we'll see you in the next video.